Hello, hello. Okay. If you are watching, I'd like to welcome you then to episode 20 here of my solo Edge of the Empire campaign. So last time we finished off, I rolled for obligation. Nope, not going to come up this time. Captain Jax Kellen has a new member of his crew, which was only maybe slightly engineered, but something that kind of I was looking to try to add to his crew because he gets his butt kicked just by fighting a bunch of basic goons. So I wanted something a little different. Wanted something at least one other person on his team here. So we got an ISB security droid who is a formerly owned and uh, apparently mistreated security droid that was owned by the cult that we've kind of introduced here, the Temple of the Rising Waves. So RB-826 was rescued by someone we don't really know too much about yet. I actually spent some time with Mythic and Oon, kind of between sessions here, trying to figure out who his rescuer was. Now, that rescuer was murdered by the Temple, according to the droid. First thing though, we gotta roll for because this is an episode 20. I said every 10 episodes or every 10 sessions, whatever, we would roll for a destiny pool. So we're gonna roll one die because Jax is the only PC. Two light side points. So that's a new one. We haven't had two of anything here yet. So that's gonna kind of maybe potentially change things a little bit. So I was kind of doing a little thinking. This thread here, this entire scenario has been a little difficult for me to kind of to deal with. I honestly thought about just abandoning it because it has been kind of a bit of a chore and at times not all that fun. But I think we're going to kind of work towards something here, and hopefully in the next session or two, next couple sessions, maybe just kind of bring this to a conclusion. Whether it's a satisfying conclusion or not, who knows. So I wanted to kind of focus things a little bit, with apologies, stretching a bit. They're looking for some evidence on RB-826's owner's murder. I also noted that we need a name for that owner. I did come up with some information on him. We need to know who was involved. One possibility that we'll get to was it the same thugs who beat and robbed Jax? Maybe. How long ago was this murder? And since this is an Imperial planet, kind of what is law enforcement like? Is it trustworthy, corrupt? Will they care about a droid's plight? I'm thinking probably not, but again, we'll let fate decide there in a little while. So I did come up with some information by using Yoon and asking Mythic a few questions here. So RB-826's previous owner was a Corellian. I chose that. Bit of random rolling I came up with. He's a pilot. I think I kind of had a couple of results when I didn't really care much for, and finally just chose that he's a pilot. He's a transport pilot, but he wasn't a smuggler. So I gave him a name, Bren Tyorn, from Corellia. He was a thoughtful outcast in terms of the NPC modifiers, and his motivation, explain purity, which I kind of considered almost like a seeking redemption and in so doing helping others. So Bren was a Corellian who was born into servitude but eventually bought his way to freedom, right? So while indentured on Corellia, he learned to fly cargo ships, and so he transferred that skill into working as a transport pilot, first for others and later as a captain of his own ship. He mostly avoided smuggling to avoid trouble, but due to his indentured servitude, he had a soft spot for others suffering under similar conditions. He eventually came into contact with RB-826 and helped to free him from the Temple of the Rising Waves. However, Luswo, the leader of the cult, sent thugs after Bren, and RB-826 only arrived at the end of the fight, seeing people wearing the temple's insignia fleeing the scene. Bren was already dead, and I just determined that this was approximately 6 weeks ago. RB-826 is actually looking to bring the murderers to justice. So the way I kind of see the next scene here, is we're going back on board the Driftwood. Actually, we're going to just call this RB826's interview, because I'm seeing that this is probably going to mostly be revolving around around Mythic here. So we open on the scene back on the Driftwood. Okay. We're still on Ariadu. Eventually we'll get an appropriate token here for RB826. But for now, we're just going to kind of worry about that we're back on the Driftwood, and I'm going to actually bring us over here to the Driftwood. So, actually, we can kind of take K right out of there. Not too worried about what exactly we're doing here. Now, somewhere on here, probably back here somewhere, we're going to be parking a speeder now. Camino Squad's cargo, gone. The Kyber crystals are still kind of tucked away in our cargo hold here. But this cargo hold area now is definitely going to be keeping that, holding that land speeder that he picked up here. Okay. This is a little unclear as to exactly how this opens, but I'm not going to worry too much about it. We're just going to kind of wave the magic wand here or something and determine that's where it's held. We know with the Falcon there's a lower landing ramp in the back, so I'm assuming this would come up and make the back cargo hold accessible. Quick pause. Okay, just dealing with dog issues, and we're gonna just kind of deal with this here. So the scene opens on in the lounge area of the Driftwood. Do we have a lounge area? We got a cockpit. Somewhere we have apparently an observation deck. We have freight loading areas. We got an engineering place, main corridor, docking. We don't necessarily really have kind of a lounge area here, though, do we? The circuitry bay wouldn't be really correct. Refresher, I like how they name that. The main hold here. What do we got? A freight loading room. We got the corridor. We got this. I'm thinking that, they're probably actually going to be in the cockpit. So the scene opens on, Jack's, sitting kind of to the side, his captain's chair turned to look at the co-pilot's chair, which he briefly considers used to be, occupied by a small Ewok, but now is occupied by a very large former Imperial ISB security droid. And we're going to just kind of go into asking a few questions here. So the first thing we really need to kind of get a sense of was Jax wants to know, using our fate chart here, we got a chaos factor of 6, so we're going to try to come up with some ideas. A little less, role play here, I think, more, and just kind of focused on these questions. So how much did RB826 see? Did he see the faces of his killer, of the killers? Did he actually get a look at them? Gonna go 50-50. We're gonna roll the dice. We got a 41. Yes. Yes. Were there? Well, I believe we had 3 thugs that attacked Jax. Were there 3 of them? That's a 39. So again, yes. Yes, there were. Jack's starting to get a little bit of sense. He's like, so did you see who killed your master? How many were there? RB826 answers that there were 3. Jack starts to get wants to start asking questions. He starts to ask pointed questions. Thinking, well, the thugs who beat him could also potentially be just generally the thugs sent out by the cult to cause trouble. So my next question really Jack starts asking about descriptions. Were they the same thugs that beat and robbed Jax? Right? Again, percentile. 28%. Yes, they were. Through descriptions of the looks of the murderers, Jax comes to understand that these were the exact same guys that robbed him. So they're looking for this. They're looking for the. Well, they're both looking for the same three guys. Now that doesn't stop the fact that they were probably ordered by the cult leader, but this gives them something to go on. Was there video? We already know there was no video. So we have nothing to really link them directly with that. But were there potentially other witnesses? Rolling the dice again, 50-50. That's going to be a 68. Okay, no. It was all done on the ship in on Bren's ship. So that's where that's where RB-826 found them, and then they fled the ship. Okay. So there's no other witnesses, but there could potentially, maybe have been people who saw them leave the ship. Did RB-826 report to the authorities? Report the murder to the authorities. Again, I'm just going to go... this one seems nearly certain. 80, yes. Nearly certain. I needed a 90 or less, 80. Yes. Did they care? This is going to be another one. I'm going to go just 50-50 on this. 27, yes. However, I'm going to go with the caveat. I believe they're interested in solving the murder, but they're not so interested in the droid's woes, so to speak. Okay, that's what I'm thinking. Okay. We don't know what the authorities might have done so far, so I think we can safely assume so. The authorities have RB-826's descriptions of the three murderers, but wouldn't be enough to get a conviction at this point, right? Just because RB-826 gave descriptions of them, yeah, droids are, generally know what they're seeing and have pretty good memories and such, but they don't record just automatically, and how much of the Imperial's going to trust a escaped former Imperial droid that's been reprogrammed? Probably not a lot. Look. Oh, an exit. There we go. Just say, don't exactly trust a former ISB droid that has been reprogrammed. So they're probably working on it, but it's probably not the highest priority. He was just a transporter, transport pilot, not known to the authorities, but I'm going to say it's likely not a high priority case. The local Imperial law enforcement essentially probably have other things that they need to be worried about. So the real question is, what exactly does RB826 have? I just wanted to kind of make sure this is doing its thing. What does RB826 have besides a desire to, you know, bring this around and kind of, you know, get those or find evidence and turn it into the authorities to see the murderers brought to justice? I don't think he's really got much to go on, so they need something. So through much discussion, they kind of get to this point, and Jax just, you know, looks at him and he's like, well, we're probably not going to get a confession out of them. But did they take anything off the ship? There we go. I'm going to say very likely. Chaos factor 6 again. That's a 57. Yes. What'd they take? I'd say they took some credits. Some loose credits. Did they... Maybe Bren had a fancy blaster pistol or something. Was that the case? Again, we'll just go 50-50. 47. Yeah. Customized blaster pistol. You know, he kept it for protection, but probably never really used it. It has his name engraved on it. Yeah, there we go. But not in an obvious spot, right? Yeah, there. So they probably haven't noticed the engraving anywhere. So now they need to convince the authorities that whoever's got this, you know, that there's this blaster pistol out there. I'm sure probably I'm going to say RB826 would have said something about that. So that seems likely. So they're probably aware. But again, if it's not a high priority case, he's just a transport pilot. It's, you know, not somebody all that important. And the only person really kind of pushing it is a droid that they're not really willing to trust anyway. So what these guys need to do is somehow get the authorities interested in these thugs. Okay. Right? Okay, that's probably a good way to kind of run to the end of our scene here. Our next scene. What's our next scene? Scene 40 in total. So let me just make sure we update things here. That's the wrong place. So here we got scene 39. Back aboard the Driftwood, Jax learns as much as he can about the murder from RB826. The killers stole Bren Ty. I can't remember what the hell name I gave him here. Give me 1 second. Ty Orton's customized and engraved blaster pistol. Cool. So they need to do something there. Alright. Sure, I'll say Jax was probably fairly in control there. We'll bring the chaos factor down. Not sure that's necessarily fair, but it wasn't out of control and things were kind of working his way here. So scene 40. So I'm thinking they need to kind of watch the temple. They need to look for these thugs. They need to get a sense as to kind of how they operate. So scene 40, I'm pretty sure, is going to be a surveillance of the temple. So that's Jax alone. RB826 stands out way too much. Right? But we're going to go back to testing scenes. Is that what happens? This is what we're expecting, kind of like a probably several days worth of surveillance. And that's kind of where we go. So we're going to test the scene here. So we're going to take our D10. We got a chaos factor of 5. We roll a 3. So the scene's going to be slightly altered. Okay. Altered scene. Okay, let's see here. So an altered scene. Generate an altered scene by modifying your expected scene. Yeah, sure. Use one of the strategies below. So the next expectation is, this is the default method. The scene is what you would next most expect. Okay. A tweak. Change one element in the expected scene. A fate question. We can ask a fate question to help you choose how the scene changes. Meaning tables. Choose a meaning table. Roll for a word pair as inspiration. Or the scene adjustment table. Yeah, let's go to the scene adjustment table. Because I kind of like that. As soon as I find it. I think, here we go. So a D10. A 9. Making... Alright, so we're going to make 2 adjustments. Because I don't want to roll on that again, I'm just going to roll a D6 now for the 6 potential adjustments. So, 4, we increase activity. Sure. The temple is busy with new recruits. This time spelled properly. With new recruits, and so it becomes, yeah, difficult to keep track of the killers. And 1, remove a character. Well, I was expecting that while doing surveillance, the Zabrak would potentially become a bit of an issue. That would be Bemis. Bemis is not seen at all during the several days of surveillance. So I'm thinking that's kind of what the change is, because I figured he could become a potential issue again. But no, Bemis is not seen at all, which is a little odd. But, Jack spends the next few days monitoring the temple. Actually, I'm going to just we're going to deal with our natural healing here. I'm just going to remove all wounds. How many days we're going to be doing this here? So, let's just make it between 1 to 6 here. Where'd my 6-sided die go? 5 days. 5 days of surveillance. Cool. Now, Jax is going to make a perception roll. Ordinarily, I'm going to call... I think we'd probably roll 2 purple dice with a perception roll, but let's find out. So I got the Edge of the Empire book here. I want perception. Oops, too far into the index. need to focus on more rolling of dice for Edge of the Empire to get more used to how it works. So perception as a skill, 114. Perception uses is cunning as its base. Could be opposed, but in this case, no. Okay. I'm going to make the call that we're going to be rolling 2 purple dice along with my 3 green here. However, we kind of need this to work, right? A perception check, 1 light side point spent to upgrade upgrade the dice. Okay, so we're going to take one of those green. We're going to make that a yellow instead here. We're going to roll 2 green, a yellow, and 2 purple. Let's see if the dice work my way here. We're going to have 2 successes. That's good. But 1 threat. Okay, we also need to remember that we're going to take the destiny pool here. And it needs to be modified here. So 1 threat. Okay, so Jax watches them on day. He sees these guys kind of come and go, often together, sometimes alone or just in pairs. But there's 3 of them. And on day 5, Jax is watching the temple. Yeah. And one of them turns to look in his direction. Let's see here. Can Jax... there's a possibility here he could get spotted. So let's give it a stealth roll with 2 purple. So 3 green, 2 purple. Small threat here. And he's going to try to blend in to be noticed. Or to not be noticed, I should say. Okay. Again, 2 successes and 1 threat. Okay. On a stealth roll. Jax throws himself kind of back further into the crowd, kind of keeping his head down. Pops into a bit of an alley and kind of leans up against the wall. Brings his hand up to rub at his forehead while kind of keeping an eye out. And thankfully, there's enough people kind of walking by that he's pretty sure he's disguised himself. But at the same time, what could be the threat? What could the threat be? And it's only a 1 threat, so it's one of these things. So as he's doing so, somebody actually kind of steps around him and bumps him. And so he kind of stops to look, and the guy goes, "Excuse me." And when Jax looks back, the 3 of them are gone. All right, let's see if he can try to get them back. Okay, he's going to kind of take a look around. Are they around? Possibly. How about we just ask? We start here with our fate chart. Are they still potentially in sight? Like, could they be visible? We'll just give it a 50-50. We're on chaos factor of 5 now. That's a 0-8. Absolutely. Yeah, so Jax will make another perception roll, I think. Another perception roll with two purple dice, three green dice, two purple dice, trying to track them down. Jax now suddenly kind of bumped, interrupted, lost track of his of the three thugs here, the three murderers, and he steps back, kind of steps through the crowd a little bit and looking across the street to where they were, left and right, and keeping an eye out, and 0 successes and 1 advantage. Okay. Okay. That's kind of unfortunate. So Jax loses track of them. What would be the advantage here? The advantage is that, he remembers they were heading off to his left. So he quickly kind of starts pushing through the crowd, hoping that he'll be able to spot them once again. This time, though, I'm going to up the difficulty because he has kind of lost track of them. So we're basically going to go 3 green, 3 purple. Perception roll again with I'm going to spend that other light side point to bump one of the greens to a yellow. Just so we're clear, this is going to, at the end of that, this is going to change our destiny pool to 0 light and 2 dark. So we got 2 green, 1 yellow, 2 purple here. Or sorry, 3 purple. Okay. 2 successes. Yeah, okay, we're going to have 2 successes. And we're going to have 2 threat. Okay, no problem. So what happens is Jax pushes through the crowd, excuse me, pardon me, coming through, and he makes enough of a commotion that he looks over as he's kind of pushing through, trying to figure out where they are, trying to make sure he's not going to lose them. He spots them, but he's made enough of a ruckus that they see him. Spotted by his quarry as he pushes through the crowd. He sees the killers, but they spot him. But are they concerned about Jax? You know what? There's probably a good chance they are, but let's find out. Are they concerned about Jax? I'm thinking it's a very likely possibility due to Bemis may have seen him with RB826. So let's find it. We'll just roll again, chaos factor of 5. Are they concerned about Jax? So are they going to run? 0, 9. Absolutely yes. That actually is an extreme yes. The thugs see Jax from across the street. He can see them kind of, the movement's jerks. They quickly exchange, some kind of discussion, and one of them goes, "Go!" and they run. They are concerned about Jax to the point that they're getting the hell out of there. Okay. Foot chase, I believe now. Jax is going to go after them. Jax pushes through again, pushes his way to the street, runs across the street, dodging land speeders and speeder bikes that are flying through Ariadu City. Maybe an athletics check to see if he makes it okay. We'll just kind of make that a 1 purple die here with 3 green. Yeah. Yeah, no problem. Uh, athletics check. Two. We got two successes, and there was an advantage and a threat, but they canceled each other out. Jax charges across the street, just barely kind of making it through. Dodges. The last thing he dodges is a transporter bus. That he just barely kind of jumps in front of, and people on the sidewalks, all getting looking quickly over, seeing this human, the blaster on his side, running across the street, diving around, and just barely making it across the street just before a bus comes through, which might have creamed him. And beyond, there's those three thugs are pushing people out of the way and hurrying down the sidewalk. Cool. Jax makes haste. He begins his pursuit here. So, for pursuing, are we going to go with athletics? Or is he going to try to outsmart them here? I'm thinking Jax is simply going to try to go head to head. He's going to try to chase after them here and hope that he can catch them. I think we've used a thug here before. Do we have... What did we use before? We didn't really say, so I don't specifically remember what we were dealing with, and I don't see notes here. Okay. Sure, if I went back, I could probably try to figure out what I used, but let's see here. Hired guns, no. Did I use the Black Sun Thug? I mean, it would kind of make sense, I guess. Definitely would have been minions. I think I'm gonna use the Black Sun Thugs stats here. So, our athletics is a brawn, right? So their brawn. We don't need the security. Actually, I'm just gonna close that. We're probably not gonna need that here. So their brawn is 3. So Jax makes haste. And essentially we're just going to roll dice against dice. We'll call it 3. You know what? We'll just make a real simple athletics versus athletics roll. So we'll just kind of do it this way. So Jax will roll his three dice. He's going to get 1 success and 2 advantage. Although advantage doesn't really... Yeah, actually, you know what? Advantage for Jax. Actually, maybe we will do it this way. Instead of just the one contestant, we'll call it Jax... We're going to call it Jax is kind of like a long distance away from them. So the way distance works in Edge of the Empire, even though we're going to use the space battle map. So we got close, short, medium, long. Actually, we'll call it medium. That makes kind of sense. No, we'll call it long. We'll call it long. So I'm just going to take... Do I have... Do I have Jax here somewhere? Jax as a token. Jax as a token. Put him on the long here. And if he gets within close, but if he goes beyond extreme, he'll lose them. Seems like a good idea. Okay, so goes up after him. They're going to make their rolls. 3 advantage. I don't think advantage is really going to matter here. Jax gain. So I'm not going to record all of this here. I think we can mostly ignore advantage. Aside from, they're hurrying and they start kind of pushing. Although they do have, more advantage. Maybe with the advantage, whoever's got the most advantage, I'll throw in a black die against their enemy here on the next roll. So Jax makes some progress, pushing through the crowd, and making some progress. But the thugs have the thugs are actually pushing people down in front of him, and so he's kind of trying to like pushing people into Jax. So his next roll is going to have a black die. I think that seems fair. On his next roll, for Jax, 3 green dice plus the 1 black die. Black dice coming up with nothing. 3 successes and 2 advantage. So I'll continue to do this the way I was. Jax. And those guys, they're just going to be rolling straight green dice here without the black die. 1 success, but 4 advantage. Okay, so Jax is catching up to them. They're once again, pushing people down in front of them. They kind of like run by run by someone, kind of carting a bunch of boxes on a repulsor lift, and they overturn the repulsor lift, getting in Jax's way. So we're going to continue. So if Jax makes this one, he'll catch up to them. Next roll. Again, Jax will have a black die, 3 green dice and a black die. 1 success, but 4 advantage for Jax. Okay, so this is going okay. Those guys are not going to be rolling the black dice. We're going to remove that, but we're going to roll 3 green dice. They're going to get 1 success, plus 1 advantage for the thug. So I'm thinking that this means nothing changes because they both got the same successes. But Jax now has the advantage. They've stopped overturning carts and pushing people, and they're just trying to muscle their way through the crowd. Rushing because Jax is not far behind them. Next roll. Do this again here. This time, Jax is rolling just green dice. 2 successes, no advantage. And the thugs are going to be stuck with the black die this time. Ooh, 0. So they actually have -1 successes, really. 0 successes, but they got 5 advantage for the thugs. However, that's not really going to matter, because that means Jax has successfully got them into close range. As Jax catches up to them, we'll roll initiative here, I guess. They're going to continue to try to get away. Our initiative is cool. They're cool. Jax's cool is 2 green dice, which he's going to get nothing on. He just got 2 advantage. That's nothing. And their initiative, brawl course, they don't specifically have one there. So cool is based on presence. They get 1 die. Nothing. 0. Okay. I believe initiative favors the PCs, so in a tie, PCs go first. And we're dealing with these mooks. So what we're actually going to do is call the scene right there. And the next scene will simply be a continuation, but I'm gonna consider it a new scene because we need to kind of cut things off here. Do this episode 21. We'll call it Confronting the Killers. Scene 41, I believe we'll be at. Yeah. And I'm going to say Jax wasn't really in control there. We're going to bump that back to a chaos factor of 6. And we're going to go scene 41. This we're not even going to test. Actually, we will test it just in case there's a tweak, but we're not going to have an interrupt scene. Jax catches up to the thugs who robbed him and murdered Bren. And we'll kind of leave that like that. And we're actually going to need to bump this because things are going to go well for Jax. So we're going to kind of, we've already rolled initiative here. I'm just going to take that initiative. Next time, we'll simply go right into the fight. Cool. We can test it, but I don't want an interrupt scene if I can avoid that. So, there we go. We've been going here, what? Almost an hour. So, I'm going to come over to our XP log. I'm actually going to call that 4 XP for episode 20. It'll leave us 8 available XP. And yeah, there we go. So I think that is going to be it. Actually, we might as well make an obligation roll for our next session. Percentiles, 51. That is a big no. All right, cool. All right, that is all we're going to be doing this time. We've managed to kind of catch up to our quarry, and we'll get into a fight when we come back next time. All right, take it easy. Have a good one. May the Force be with you.